Welcome back to the channel. All right, it's time for the April update for the Battlegrounds tier list. I want to keep a couple things very clear for all of you. One is that this is a general tier list, right? The metas for Battlegrounds changes not only per season, but multiple times within the season. And one of the things I have found, and we started this before Battlegrounds even officially came into the game, it was still in the beta, we started working on this tier list and publicizing these videos, and it's worked out very well for me, is if I rank up champions with Battlegrounds in mind and I place them into these various tiers and categories, when the metas come live and we don't know what they're going to be too far in advance, I've got champions already ranked up. Very rarely do I have to rank up 3 or 4 or 5 champions or whatever, something like that. Sometimes I can use like a rank 5 gem or ascend or rank 2 or something like that to rank up 1 or 2 just perfect champions for the meta. And there we go. This way you've got your eye always kind of on it and you're going to see that. And then 2, we've done our best to rank champions and place them in tiers where they will be the highest rank. Sasquatch is always one that I think that causes a lot of confusion for people because you're not going to see him in dual threat. And I am aware that he can do great things on offense. I very much am, and I'm not trying to take that away from him. I'm aware of like Trappy showing it. So many people show this very regularly. I think Andrew the Rough, like it's all over the place from great Battlegrounds players. I will hopefully even be taking mine to rank 3 as soon too. But for me right now, I do place him more in the defender tier because I know not that many people have him as a rank 3. And then you're going to see we got a nice little emoji right there showing he's got offensive use. So just keep that in mind. If you see your favorite champion and they're not ranked in the category that you think or something like that, feel free to put in the comments why you think they should be different. We learn a lot from the comments too, but keep in mind, not intended as a sign of disrespect or death or misinformation. More, I just felt they were more highly rated in another category. That's where I placed them. Yeah, I think that is it. Let's go ahead and jump into it. We've got a lot to talk about. I'm going to try to move through these because, like I said, there's a lot to talk about. And one of the things we've been talking about every single month is that metas change, right? Sometimes the question is like, well, why does a champion move up or down when it's the same champion? It's because, well, it's about what they can do for what defenders have come out recently. And boy, oh boy, has Kabam been putting out the defenders. And we will get to it, but you're going to see there's a champion who's come up significantly because there's been a massive shift in Battlegrounds from being dominant Mystic defenders. There were other good defenders for sure, don't get me wrong, but Mystic Dispersion and all of these Mystic defenders that we've been listing, not that they're not in Battleground decks anymore, but they are not the most scary defenders in decks. They're not your rank 5, 6-star Ascendeds and things like that. There are other classes that are now kind of taking their spot, and it's allowed some other attackers, not just the science class, to really, really shine. Now, the first one you're going to see that's either new this month or new for this April edition or has been adjusted up or down is going to be Serpent. I have Serpent in the tier above all. And given the intro, maybe this is a reason for Sasquatch to go to the tier above all. In fact, let me know in the comments. Should Sasquatch be in the tier above all as a defender or as a dual threat? I'm very curious on that. I still think defender, but this is about Serpent, and I'll explain why. We all can see how good a defender Serpent is. He does feel fair to me. There are answers to him in the game, but it is very, very difficult. It is a tough fight. If you do not have a good RPG counter, you're going to have serious problems. But I've used my Serpent to take down a tough defender in Future Ant-Man. He does very, very well in matches where the opponent has a lot of armor, right? And then recall, he gets that true sense buff. It's handling evade and miss, which are incredibly, incredibly powerful defensive threats in this game. And I used him to take out, I believe it was a rank 2. It was either a rank 5 Ascended Domino or a rank 2 7-star. I don't recall which, but I recall being like, I'm just going to give it a try and see what happens. I do think I got a little bit lucky, but I got a very nice score. I won the match. And it kind of showed me that, look, in a pinch, you can even use him for targets that are not his ideal. She has no armor or anything like that. I kind of was just hoping to handle the evade, and he did very, very well. Remember, in his buff, not when he's on defense, or not his buff, but in his kit, not when he's on defense, but when he's on offense, he starts with 4 extra dread, or I can't remember the name of his mechanic, the mechanic that he builds up. But when he's on offense, he starts with 4 extra. I really like that. I think that's a really cool, smart way to help our defenders be usable offensively, be fun to play, not just when you rank up and you only stick on defense. And on defense, he does not get that benefit in Battlegrounds. All right, let's move on to the second tier, the top shelf. Okay, really quick, there's only two champions I want to mention in this tier. These champions are still great dual threats. They're either really strong as defenders and not quite as strong on offense, or very strong on offense and not quite as strong on defense. But they are enough where you can very reasonably pick them for one role. Your opponent picks another champion to maybe counter them or something like that. And you can very easily switch them over to an attacker from a defender from an attacker. Havoc has just been amazing me lately. And it's not enough to raise him all the way up to the highest tier, but Onslaught being such a prominent threat on defense and Havoc being so incredibly good for Onslaught, is Havoc just continues to find a way to stay relevant in this game. After all these years, I will eventually get out my Havoc video. I have been incredibly shocked, surprised, and impressed by Havoc. So I want to point that out because he was primarily thought of as a defender, right? With inequity and all the debuffs he places and all that stuff. And then moving on, Punisher 2099, you've been paying enough attention to my channel. You've been hearing me shout out Trappy. Trappy's been showing a lot of cool things with Punisher 29. I do have the dice emoji there because this is a new rank up for me. This is definitely promotion from, I believe we had him in an attacker, a lower attacker tier. But I have to say, like, from what I've seen, this makes a lot of sense. The concern for me will be how he holds up as more and more people with 8.4 and street cleaning, all this stuff, have rank 5 ascendeds, have 7-star rank 2s, and these sorts of things. Will he be able to hold up? But, you know, I think it makes sense. He's someone that I will be looking to ascend, hopefully in the next month or two myself. All right, let's move on to our pure attackers. All right, our pure attackers, tier above all, we have quite a few promotions. Let's get straight to them. In the science class, we've got Red Guardian and Luke Cage. I made buff videos on both those champions. I told you I was very excited about him. I felt very certain Red Guardian would be very strong in Battlegrounds. I'm hoping to ascend mine, rank 5 and ascend mine as soon as I'm done with 8.4. Grass, MCoC Grass, I think. I know it's Grass. Did a phenomenal showcase on Red Guardian. It was so cool for me to see. It's one of those things where, like, I wasn't able to do it because I was ranking up by the champions for like war defense and stuff, which I was very happy to do. But Red Guardian, I just love playing him. He's so much fun. And Grass showed it in high tier Battlegrounds. It's phenomenal. It's great. Remember, he's got a slow, refreshable slow. He's buff immune. So many things you would want in a Battlegrounds attacker. And then Luke Cage. In the Luke Cage buff video, I recall saying, like, this is very, very strong. I don't know if he's going to be fast enough for Battlegrounds. Well, Jaeger on the MCoC Illuminati, awesome member of my Discord, was like, oh, he's good. He's really good. Has shown us so many video scores. Again, high tier Battlegrounds. He just dominates so many of the Mystic class. It isn't any surprise. DLL had a help in the design of the buff of Luke Cage, that Luke Cage would come out and be in a very effective, usable champion in our game. Absolutely not. So Luke Cage, they very much deserve that. And then moving over to Prowler, I tend to start off very conservative with new champions. And Prowler is so new, and I will tell you, I have barely been able to test him. And I had a couple concerns, and I'll express them right now. I felt like he was going to be a little difficult to line everything up. I felt like the windows on his mechanics with the Falter and the Incinerate were very tight. I also had concerns because he does so much of his damage is physical, and that's great as a tech champion against mutants. But then he needs to land, not needs, but his damage is significantly better if he lands the Incinerate. I had concerns about how that would work out against like Onslaught and Bishop and Havoc and champions that you often want your techs to be able to take when you only have 30 options in the deck. Well, lo and behold, Bitter still has taken him, ranked him up, and has more than satisfied my concerns. The skill ask might still be high because Bitter is one of the best players in this game, but it is definitely possible. I can no longer reasonably have that concern that he can't do it, he being Prowler. My only concern left now is, will someone of my skill level be able to figure it out? But I think with most champions, it's just about the time you put in and get with them. He might be a little bit tougher to learn, but it's very, very clearly possible. I feel comfortable with Prowler up that. We've got the dice emoji saying it's early, be careful. But I feel really good about this one. And then the last one is CGR, moving back up to the tier above all. This is the champion I was talking about earlier in the video where there has been a shift in the defenders, right? We've got Maestro, we've got Bullseye, we've got Onslaught. There's more. There's so many of them. I think I'm mentally blocking them out now. And what that has done is that has made it so people and other summoners are doing less of your mystics who will benefit from mystic dispersion and also have either some sort of punishment for armor breaking them or are not armor breakable at all, which has now made it. And then CGR happens to actually be very good for Bullseye and for Maestro and other defenders. So he has made his way back into the meta. I've heard Slayer of Gods even say that like he's at his prime now, which is amazing for a champion that's as old as he is. But it's very much true. I was not able to play much Battlegrounds last meta. I was very sick. And even then, I still put in my CGR, and he's not even ascended, and he was destroying things for me. So he's even pretty good against Photon. So he's back. He really could be the highest one up. It you know, at that level, it doesn't really matter. You're splitting hairs there. But he is phenomenal. He's great, and he's definitely at a apex. I don't know if it's going to be his apex, but it is at a apex. CGR, just kind of like Havoc, always seems to find ways to be relevant. And then let's quickly go through the final two tiers of attackers. All right, making our way through the final two tiers of attackers. The top 12 attackers are similar to your dual threats. It's like they're really good, and in some cases could probably be maybe even the best attacker in your deck. It's just going to be a little more dependent on the meta, how well you can play them, how high you can have them ranked up, and that sort of thing. We want to talk quickly about the Destroyer. Destroyer, I really like Destroyer. I talked about that in my video. Clearly amazing for Hulkling. Seems to be very good for Adam Warlock too, who are two cosmic defenders that are pretty common to see. I fought a Maestro today, and Maestro glanced Destroyer's power game mechanic. It infuriated me. I hate glancing as it is. So that's something for me to keep an eye out on, but I feel I've seen a video from Nick136 taking Destroyer versus Maestro, so there's probably just something I need to learn and the timing there, making sure I don't get my power game mechanic with the glancing. I do really like Destroyer here. I don't know if he's going to be fast enough to take non-buff matchups in Battlegrounds very regularly, but he's a blast to play. He's so well made, dual immune. Get your SB3, the opponent is going to be dead. Moving on, Danny Moonstar. This is one that's a little difficult for me because the results I'm often able to get from her are pretty amazing. And she's taking out, you know, Killmongers, Nick Furies, Atumas, some of your most prevalent meta-defining defenders, but mine is a rank 3. And I do think that's something I need to keep in mind. And I don't often go outside of those meta defenders, those 3 skill ones. So while they are meta and they are really great, it might behoove you to have another champion who can take them and some other champions to kind of like optimize your deck. So for me personally, very much just personally, she's actually a higher tier. She's in the highest tier of attackers, but generically giving advice out, and no one in the Illuminati is making a strong case, except Bitter's starting to pipe up a little bit. So I'm curious. And that guy pulls off some pretty incredible things about moving Danny up. I think she's good right there. I think if you want to rank her up to rank 3 or something like that, you've got the right relic and you've got the skills to play her, you might have a really good time with it. So consider it. Moving on to tech, Shocker. Now, I'm filming this the day of at least the day we became aware of the glancing fix. And I did do a video on Shocker, and it just happened to work out. I'm not happy I got sick, but it's a long story. You should watch the video. It's a very good video. And what it ultimately did is made me feel better about Shocker. I do not like the lack of communication. I do not like it at all. I honestly, I almost have outrage fatigue. Shout out to Adam for coming up with the term on that. You guys know I've been disappointed with the game. I've been disappointed with a lot of things. I've done state of the game videos. I've done community posts. I've done Twitters or tweeters or whatever the hell they're called. I've put so much on the CTP server. I'm sure that the devs, if they're even reading what I write anymore, are like, Vega, please stop. Like, we get it. And I just didn't have it in me. I'm just like, yeah, they should have communicated it, period. There's no debate. Like, I'm sorry. There's just no debate on it. I'm not sorry. But, you know, once we get past that, we can go and we can look at Shocker. And outside of the ability to take Maestro, he's still amazing. I talked about it in the video. I'm going to go in much more depth on it, and I show a variety of fights he can take. And it was comforting to me to see it, to be reminded, because he's one of my favorite champions to play. I really think we're going to see him put right back up in the highest tier. But as I kind of said in that video, I feel like just integrity has me feeling like I want to at least put him down in this tier for a month or two. So when people see it, because I know people are going to look at it, like the screenshot of this will go on my Twitter, made by Misty K. I want people to know, you know, and if they're like, no, Shocker's better, then they can go and promote him on their own or rank him up. That's just how I feel about it all, okay? The Vision, that's a demotion. She's just not panning out the way we hope. I understand she can do a lot of things, but as health pools are growing, as these newer defenders are coming out, she's incredibly punishing if you make a mistake. And in Battlegrounds, you know, that hurts doubly hard, right? Because you can't just heal up and move on. So maybe if she comes out as a 7-star or something like that, but in her current form as a 6-star, it's just not happening. It's just not happening. I mean, still could be really good. You see the tier we have her in, but not where she was, okay? Moving on to Gladiator. He's awesome, right? I love him. I love Gladiator. I love the buff. I made the video. I'm so pumped up. I've already been using my 6-star rank 5 Ascended. You can tell I don't know how to play him like optimally, so I'm winning rounds with him, but you know, I'm not getting like 50k scores when I know I could, but keep an eye out. If I get to keep playing him, I'll get better with him, and we'll definitely get some videos out on him. He's a blast. I'm so glad you all are getting a chance to play him now too. I'm really happy we got that out there. He's just great. The buff on him was just beautiful. Absolute fun to play, as a game should be. Moving on to Deathless King Groot. Okay, essentially they said the too long didn't read on this was we took away some of the healing of regular King Groot and we turned it into damage, and ooh, nice job. Like, hey, do that. It's fun. We like playing champions who do big damage. Definitely seems like he might be fast enough for Battlegrounds, and if you take him to rank 3, I think he's got like the 3rd or 4th highest health pool in the game. Simula did a great video on his Deathless King Groot and mentions that, and in Battlegrounds, that's something. That is not a nothing. So keep that in mind. And we're talking about how there's less and less Mystics in decks right now. So he might work out as a decent defender. I really got my eye on that. And then the last champion I'm talking about is Deathless Guillotine. I don't want to spoil it in case they're going to do a video on it, but someone in the Illuminati took theirs to rank 3. It is really, really cool. She's a blast to play. She looks cool. I don't think anyone's immune to degen, right? So I'm looking forward to potentially seeing some really fun videos out of there. She definitely does have uses, and maybe one day she'll even get an ability on her special one. I don't know. It is 2024, so it could happen. It could happen. All right, let's quickly talk about the defenders. All right, the defenders, and I think I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video, and it's fine. Remember, all of these categories are just as important. They are all equally important. You need attackers, you need defenders, you need your dual threats. Now, you're going to be able to strategize best for what you know how to play, how you want to attack it. And so some people might want more defenders and some more attackers, dual threats, or what have you. But I don't know. I haven't really seen any decks do very well that do not have great defenders. The first champion we're going to talk about is Electro. This is a promotion. I kind of considered him a bit of a luxury rank up, and I had seen it enough. I think decks are getting mature enough. I think we're getting enough rank up resources. And if you know how to set up Electro for good on defense, well, right, because your ability accuracies or your ability accuracy skill champions are just going to mow through him. But if you can set him up well on defense, he's going to do damage to your opponent, and that's part of the name of the game with defenders. There's more than one way for the defender to do well. Moving on, we probably could remove the dice thing from Bullseye. Maybe we'll see if there, in case he gets nerfed. Command, could you please nerf at least something on him just to make me feel better? And then we will quickly, the last one here is Iron Man Infinity War. My boy Strands, in his own very Strands way, did point out Iron Man Infinity War. I think if you got the 7-star and you've got him awakened, he can cause problems. Trappy has been showing that to us as well in his Battleground streams and videos. So that does make a lot of sense. And that is the tier list. It's I feel really good about it. As I said in the very beginning, Sasquatch is like one of the main keys for it. Is like, is he a defender or is he a dual threat? I think that's going to come down to how you want to use him. He definitely is at a minimum, and you see it on my tier list, a defender with some very strong possible offensive uses. I think a lot of that's going to be what rank you have. Do you have rank 3 or rank 2? And that's it. We're going to keep our eye on Dr. Doom, Longshot, maybe even Rincha for some possible demotions, but it will still be very powerful. Really looking forward. I'm healthy. And I'm not doing high tier war. I got to get on my 8.4 and a lot of videos to get out, but I'm back in 4 BGs with a very, very high minimum Battleground score. So I should be getting back into Battlegrounds, playing it a lot, get that muscle memory going again. So I'm really looking forward to it. As usual, let me know what you think we got right. Let me know what you think we got wrong. Go subscribe to all the Illuminati. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.